Hello, and welcome to another episode of It's the Pictures. This is episode number 223. I'm your host, Evan Crean, and I'm joined, as always, by my co host, Max Coville. Hey, Max.
How you doing? It's Max Colville. Welcome to It's the Pictures.
I like the enthusiasm. I mean, I think that will serve us well in this particular episode. But how you doing, Max? What's new?
What's new? A quick jiffy jump to the dog vet. What was in store this evening?
Yep.
The new animal at home. She's already made a trip to the emergency pet place, so doing well there. She's fine for those
That's
at
good.
home who are worried. Outside of that, we've watched a few Toy Story movies lately. With the Toy Story 5 coming out, we watched Toy Story 3 and then went into 5. We haven't watched 4 yet as a family, which I'm probably putting off because I don't love that movie.
Yeah, it's not good. You
But
bawled your eyes out after 3, and you're like, all right, let's just take a break.
yeah, I'll talk more about 5 later. But Evan, I did that fun intro because we're planning to talk about the Jackass theatrical films.
Yeah, I know. I've been trying to think of a clever intro where it's like, welcome to whatever. I'm Evan Crean and welcome to whatever this insert funny
Yeah.
thing is. Because there's so many. But yes, we were talking about the Jackass franchise, which I feel like is a little bit uncharacteristic for our show. We typically like zone in on actors or auteurs or like genres, but yeah, I think you and I were just weirdly like, hey, there's another Jackass coming out, or it's supposed to be their final one. We'll see if it
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
is. I mean, they're getting pretty old, but yeah. And we said, screw it, let's watch Jackass movies and let's talk about them. And so I think it'll be a fun topic for the episode.
Yeah, I mean, it was either that or we'd have to talk about like another James Gunn movie, which I want to see Supergirl, but
Mm-hmm.
this is just like more left field, and I think like the Jackass movies have seen like an appraisal over a period of time, right, Evan? Like
Mm-hmm.
it felt like they came out and people just declared that they were like straight up trash, and
Mm-hmm.
like eventually the tides turned, and a lot more people saw maybe the outrageousness in them and kind of put like a qualifier on that.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about it more when we get into the feature, but yeah, there's something there about why people are so interested in seeing, first the Jackass TV show and then the movies, and why they've had such longevity. Like there's something to it. It's more than just, watching people fall over, get hit in the nuts, Like
A lot of
there's
that
something
is
there.
definitely in there.
Yeah, oh for sure. I mean, there's a reason why America's Funniest Home Videos and shows like Ridiculousness on MTV, like I'd consider that like a, I don't know, descendant of Jackass, are so popular. But yeah, I think there's something more there than just the funniness of watching people do gross stuff and get hit in the nuts. But yeah, we'll talk about that more in a couple minutes. Should we jump into the news?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think this was definitely a surprising story that Google is investing $75 million in A24 to develop AI powered filmmaking tools. And I think this is surprising because, we've mentioned this before that the filmmaking industry has had a very tenuous relationship with the concept of AI. And I know a lot of people are worried about it ruining filmmaking or, leading to even more AI slop, as people are calling it. And so it's interesting that Google is partnering with A24, but specifically, this investment does not give Google access to A24's library or intellectual property or anything like that. But it's specifically to help develop tool for filmmakers to help kind of like accelerate the filmmaking process. Like one of the things that this article referenced on Variety was like, like storyboarding tools and like a whole new prompting system for being able to like create storyboards like faster and easier. So I think that's definitely intriguing. Max, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I didn't read too much into it because, like, I think my brain turned off Google AI and A24. So I'm glad that you took the extra step
Mm-hmm.
and actually looking and seeing what the investment meant. Obviously, A24 has like kind of a reputation to uphold. I think like that's kind of like
Mhm.
the allure of the brand, if you will.
Right.
And
Yeah.
once you start saying, "Oh, well, this brand is okay to be like exploring into AI," like I wonder if I don't know like how many people it's gonna turn off, or like if it will be like a sizable amount. I doubt it, but there's certainly people who like, let's use the phrase drink the A Kool Aid and have
Mhm.
an A24 membership, and maybe they'll reconsider hearing this news.
Yeah. I mean, who the heck knows? I know a lot of people were. I remember people were mad. There was the David Dalmatian movie. Was it like there was like literally like one frame or something that was made by AI, and people like lost their minds over it. So who
Yeah,
knows
yeah,
how
I remember
people are going to
that
react?
horror movie.
Yeah, like who knows how people are going to react to this news? I definitely think it's intriguing though. I mean, A24, as you mentioned, is kind of like a first it was kind of like a dark horse studio, but I mean it's built up, a reputation for working with outsiders and auteurs and like being, very edgy in a lot of ways and telling like kind of dynamic, groundbreaking stories that other studios aren't. So it's really fascinating that they're getting in the AI game. But I think this article mentioned it was also kind of tied to a partnership with like a venture capital firm I think had invested in A24 as well. So it's kind of makes sense because everyone's always like AI is evil, venture capital is evil, and I don't disagree with them on those things.
Yeah,
But
and
I mean,
I'm
if you're making tools to help filmmakers like accelerate the process and make better art, then okay, I can kind of see it maybe.
but like I think like also A24 has kind of been moving in a different direction. I mean, certainly everybody's in movies to make money, I imagine, but
Right.
like
Mhm.
certainly more of their movies have. I don't know if it's because they spent more money recently or that they're trying to just attract different attention, but maybe starting with Civil War, it felt like the movies that they were making were going to be like another step up. And they're trying to hit another market. Certainly, a movie like the drama, they heavily marketed that
Mhm.
that and tried to make waves of that one. And now with the this article specifically mentions Backrooms and the success that Backrooms had.
Mhm. Yeah, it's crushing it out there, and both Max and I think have been. We mentioned this maybe last episode. Been kicking ourselves that we didn't. Neither of us drafted it.
Yeah, no, we didn't do any horror movies, which we'll get our updates shortly.
Yeah. Well, it's intriguing. We'll see if anything else interesting comes from this deal. But one of the other items in our news here is that Criterion is going to be putting out. Excuse me. Criterion is going to be putting out a whole Stanley Kubrick collection. That's going to be all of his films and some shorts and everything 4K remastered, etc. A nice fancy looking box set. I'm just looking at some like preview images of it. It's like, this striking red cover and this like, big booklet with lots of like liner notes and various things in it. But yeah, this is a big deal, right, Max? Because Criterion doesn't really do this that often, right? Just do like a big, like I know they release individual films from esteemed filmmakers, but they don't often be like create an entire box set around somebody.
Yeah, no, normally maybe it's like once a year. It feels like they do something like
Mm,
this. Like there's like a Wong Kar Wai collection. There's an Ingmar Bergman collection. There's a Federico Fellini and Varda box set.
mm,
So they do have some where they try to collect the works of a director, but Criterion has kind of like piecemeal released some of the films on 4K already. Like they had Eyes Wide Shut on 4K and Barry Lyndon. And that very much felt like, okay, those would be in the wheelhouse of like something they'd be able to release, because
mm-hmm.
you would think there's no way that like the main studios would let something like The Shining or 2001 Space Odyssey like be released by Criterion, because like you can always sell those things, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so people thought like maybe, sure, like maybe Criterion would eventually release Lolita on 4K, and that would be kind of it because like Lolita doesn't have a big sales potential, I guess, outside of people who like Kubrick a lot. But when you get a big box like this where you get everything together, all the movies, all the shorts, even stuff that like Kubrick disowned is getting collected here. It says 13 feature films and 3 shorts have all been restored in 4K. I guess like the Criterion included that some of the highlights of the set include like an international version of The Shining, which I don't know what the difference is. I'd have to look into that, but I guess that's something that people fans of The Shining probably pretty interested in.
Mm-hmm.
There's also new commentary tracks for The Shining and for 2001: Space Odyssey, which the 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 author who they got to do that track did this great book on 2001: Space Odyssey. So it should be fun to hear his track alongside that movie. And 2001 is one of my favorites. So yeah, it's promising to be like a 30 disc set. It is not cheap. They have it MSRP'd at like 600, and
Woof.
yeah, and so it's coming out October 20th. And traditionally, Barnes and Noble has a 50% off sale in November, so like 2 weeks later.
For the low,
So
low price of $300, you can get this set.
right. I mean, it's 13 films, but you know, it is $300. So to put it into perspective, I guess you could also get the Wes Anderson collection, and that is also list price of 500, currently available for 300 on Amazon. So
Gee.
yeah, that's I guess that's what these go for.
Yeah. Too rich for my blood, friends.
Coop,
$600 DVD sets.
Kubrick is one that I'll probably splurge for, and I think like Kurosawa would probably be one. If they like collected his works, they did in the past. Like I think on DVD or something, there was a complete Akira Kurosawa collection,
Mm-hmm.
but probably few and far between. Like I haven't bought the Fellini one because like although like I've seen like 5 or 6 Fellini movies, I don't necessarily love his movies.
Yeah, I can't say I've seen a lot of his, but I feel like I've seen a couple and it just like, it's not really for me.
All right, so
All right,
yeah,
should we
big
talk
deal
about
for
our Toy Story
cinephiles. I
5
guess
news?
sure. So as part of our box office game this summer, we're also reporting on weekends that are big for movies. It just so happens, which you know we kind of expected that Toy Story 5 would do good business. We maybe didn't know like how good it would do.
Mm-hmm.
It says that
Yeah.
as of I guess Sunday morning, they had it predictions at like 160 million, which was the best opening for any movie this year, and the second best opening for an animated film behind Incredibles 2. And you know, 160 million is pretty great for a Friday through Sunday.
Yeah. That's a good opening.
I guess I'm sure Pixar and Disney are happy to see it because famously the like spin-off that they tried to do, Lightyear, kind of bombed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know
guess
Pixar has tried to blame poor box office performance, since the pandemic of like, oh, people want to watch this stuff at home. They don't want to go to the movies anymore.
right. No, I'm looking at the numbers here. Like Deadline reported a $71 million Friday. That's humongous. That's like we're gonna talk about the box office in a little bit in our game, but like Mortal Kombat 2 pulled in 77 million in its entire run. Never mind one day.
Yeah.
But you know, there was some other stuff on there. Certainly, Disclosure Day was number 2 at the box office for this weekend. The 3 horror movies, Stand Strong, Obsession, Backrooms, and Scary Movie, were also on there. Probably the first bomb of the season is probably that Masters of the Universe, huh, Evan? That just
Yeah.
it, it didn't make it.
Yeah, I haven't heard good things about it. Did you see that one, Max?
No, but like I wouldn't say like it's something that I wouldn't see, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
something that I would wait for like VOD to see at home.
Yeah, I get it.
And like I didn't grow up with Masters of the Universe, but like I feel like it's probably like really tongue in cheek stupid, like Flash Gordon, and like
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's how I'd enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I had a vague knowledge of like He-Man, but only from I remember at one point when I was a kid I really wanted a toy that was like a He-Man sword or something that made a bunch
Right.
of sound effects and stuff. But I don't explicitly remember it because I liked He-Man. I think it was because I liked the toy.
Now, if you give me like a Thundercats movie, maybe I'd be into that.
Thundercats.
Yeah. So, were you at all surprised about the Toy Story 5 box office?
I mean, I don't think I'm surprised because, Pixar in the Toy Story franchise is beloved, and I thought, it was going to do well at the box office. But it's definitely surprising it's one of the better ones this year.
Yeah.
Of like all the ones that we have on our list, movies that we picked, I wouldn't expect it to have performed, as strong as it has. Like it's already earned like at least because I feel like now we're kind of delving into
Yeah,
the
yeah,
the
we could go
update a
right
little
into.
bit.
Yeah.
I feel like it's already not that far behind Mandalorian and Grogu just in one weekend. So that's very surprising to me that it's doing as well as it's doing after just one weekend.
Right. So I looked at these numbers this morning. Of course, Evans had three movies opened in theaters thus far, with Mandalorian and Grogu at 171 million.
Mm-hmm.
Disclosure Day currently at 78 million. Devil Wears Prada 2 probably near the end of its run at 219 million.
Really glad I picked it.
Yeah, that was a bargain for the last movie.
Yeah.
Then so Evans total is 468, where I currently have two movies with Toy Story 5 and coming in at 160 for its opening frame, and Mortal Kombat 2 at 79, which it's not reporting numbers anymore, and it's out on VOD. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that one's pretty tucked away too. So I'm at the total of 239 million, and we'll probably see Evan's number continue to grow pretty quickly and take a sizable lead before my movies come out because
Right.
as we
Because
mentioned at the top, Supergirl is opening
mm-hmm.
this weekend, and then I think Minions and Monsters opens over the Fourth of July weekend frame, like the following weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So then we'll just be seeing if Spider-Man, Moana, and the Odyssey can play catch up.
Yeah. We'll definitely be interesting to see for sure. I'm happy at least I'm not starting out like in the hole or losing very badly, even if it ends up that you end up winning due to some other films that come out that just make a lot of money. Then I feel pretty good about this selection this year.
I think Minions and Monsters is going to do really good at three. Like I probably would have, if I was, I don't know if I was changing my lineup, but like maybe Minions and Monsters over Moana.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see what they do. I mean,
Wait,
like,
did you hear it? Sorry, I'm just thinking of it now. Minions and Monsters. Did you hear that George Lucas is doing a voice in that movie?
no, I didn't.
Apparently, he's a big fan of the Minions, so the guy he's doing a voice, I think, in the movie.
Wild, but like, have you seen the trailers for this movie, Evan? Let's take a
No.
tangent on Minions and Monsters. It's like they've been doing it for every Minions movie since like Despicable Me 1. And it's just like I don't think the trailers have anything to do with the movies. They just like make like short stories that last 40 seconds long
With the
for the
Minions,
Minions.
yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
And that's
They're
their
like they're
trailer.
cute, they're kind of silly. Let's make a thing, and that's enough.
Yeah. Like before we when we saw Toy Story 5 in the theater the other day, they had the way they did like some of the promotion for Minions and Monsters is that they pretended that the Minions were queuing up the trailers, like
Okay,
the videos of the Minions putting the trailers on the screen would come up between every movie.
kind of a smart idea, honestly.
Yeah.
Just like insert them in ways that you wouldn't expect them to be there, but they're minions. So you're like, oh, it's kind of appropriate that they're like running around, like climbing inside things and doing, just being, cute and mischievous.
Who would have thought that like these little creatures would like literally make an entire like movie studio, right?
Yeah, it is mind blowing to think back to that first one, the first Despicable Me, and think that the minions have not only continued to drive, performance from that, but also they've like had their own spin-off movies in addition to that have made them so much money.
Yeah.
Wow. Whoever came up with the minions, like they must be a
Character
gajillionaire at this
design.
point.
Yes. I hope they were well paid, whoever
Yeah.
they are.
And continue to be well paid from whatever royalties they're making off that. But yeah, interesting so far in the summer box office game, and obviously we'll check in next episode and let you know where we stand now that Max has some more movies coming out.
Well, I don't know, Evan. Like we said, 2 weeks from now, you should have a even bigger lead of Supergirl, Minions, and Monsters coming out. So,
Huh? We'll see if it holds. All right, so let's jump into talking about Jackass.
okay. So did you want to like lead off with like some background of Jackass and like the
Yeah,
standard people who will show up in most of these and what have you?
yeah. I mean, I don't claim to be an expert, but I know that I was just kind of skimming through Wikipedia and some of the stuff that I do know about how kind of Jackass came together. But it obviously it originated with a TV show on MTV in the early 2000s, ran from like 2000 2001. There were like 3 seasons of the show. I mean, it's kind of an outgrowth of a couple of kind of like similar the things that were going on at the time. Like you have Johnny Knoxville, who was this guy who was doing kind of crazy like stunts and things in the big in like the mid 90s for apparently this like publication called Big Brother, which is like a skateboarding magazine. I mean, basically it all goes back to skateboarding. Let's just
Yeah,
start there.
and we also have to make this big caveat that this was like before YouTube, because
Right.
like nowadays you can just go on YouTube and see people doing stupid stuff and
Right, exactly. And we mentioned earlier in the show that you had like America's Funniest Home Videos and things like that, but those were more like isolated. Like here's a clip of a guy, man getting hit in the groin with a football, as the Simpsons so gracefully like joked. So it was like, one-off silly videos, but yeah, you kind of have like these skateboarders in the 90s doing these like insane, home videos of them doing just like ridiculous pranks and things like that. And so you kind of have like, this Big Brother skateboarding magazine where you had Johnny Knoxville and Jeff Tremaine, who's directed all the, Jackass movies, some of the other guys. And then in parallel to that, you had CKY, which was like these other skateboard prank videos by Bam Margera and his kind of like crew of people from Pennsylvania. And then they at some point just kind of came crashing together into what we know as Jackass. And yeah, I mean, these are guys that are skateboarders and goofballs and just people, like adrenaline junkies, like, and people just willing to do insane things on camera. And yeah, I mean, like, the show on MTV was a hit, and then they started making movies in 2002, and here we are, 25 years later, you're releasing what is promised to be the last of the Jackass movies. I mean, I guess we'll see, but also these guys have gotten old because this is 25 years later.
I'm
And
sure the bumps aren't easier this time around.
no, I mean, like, even watching the fourth one, which was 20 years of them doing Jackass, like, these guys have aged and time has not been kind to any of them, I don't think, really. And we've lost some people along the way too. Like, so we should mention that Ryan Dunn, who is one of the mainstays of Jackass, he died in 2013 in a car crash due to like reckless driving.
Mm-hmm.
And Bam Margera, who also I just mentioned, he parted ways at the sorry, during the last film, because apparently he had some clause in his contract where he was supposed to stay sober and he could not do that, and so they ended up firing him from the movie and from the group. And there has been some like legal battles that have been settled, but he's no longer a part of Jackass, which I did not realize until we were doing this episode. And I was like, hey, what happened to Bam? Like, I literally googled like, why did Bam Margera leave Jackass, and then found this whole like sub thread of what happened. But yeah,
Yeah, as we get
it's
into it, I'll mention more about that too. Because
yeah,
like
I mean,
we'll
why
probably
don't
take the movies in order, right? Is that what you want
yeah,
to do?
exactly. Yeah, I was thinking we'll just go through them in order, but why don't we start as we normally like to start with, like, what's your background, Max, on the Jackass franchise? Like, kind of how did you discover it and
So
whatnot?
so Jackass was not probably my cup of tea. Like I
Mm,
think like I think back to that era, early 2000s. I was like late teens, so the perfect age to watch this. But like, I don't know if like I found like their antics just like ridiculous or didn't really jive with it. But I think when the promise came that they were going to like take what they did on the MTV show and then do it in theaters, that was like a whole another level.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know, Evan. I know that like cable television is different and it has different rules, but then there's also like there's almost like a line between cable television or like I'm saying this back in the 2000s. Who cares? Who even has cable television now? But there was a line. It almost felt like there was a line between like MTV and HBO, right?
Right.
It's like although like MTV was cable, it wasn't really. It couldn't do what HBO would do, and
Right. Yeah, it would do different stuff that was kind of edgy. Like it had stuff like Jackass and other types of shows, but that were like still in like edgy but in a safer way than something like a premium channel like HBO, which would have like nudity and cursing and stuff like that.
right, I guess the best way to put it is like they had a softcore like soap drama show on MTV called like Undressed or something that would
Yep.
play late at night.
Yeah,
And
I think
like
Pedro Pascal was in an episode of that, by the way.
yeah, I think like like some of the Power Rangers were in it too. But like yeah, MTV would run that where it's like HBO you would get like straight up like pornography movies. So there was definitely like a difference. But like once Jackass could go to the cinemas, like all bets were off.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think they put out this first film, and it really Jackass really became part of like the zeitgeist at the time. It's like if you might have maybe watched the show while it was on. I don't really remember watching the show much at all when it was on, but I remember the name Jackass and people were like, "You gotta watch this stuff. This is doing craziest things." And I had some friends in high school that were kind of skateboardy punk guys who had delusions of thinking they could do silly videos like this too, although nothing is insane as the things that these guys did. But I remember that was kind of like my gateway into watching this, like guys who I know who really liked CKY and Jackass and all these like insane videos, like you said, in the time before YouTube. So it was either you were like getting this on DVD or you were watching the show or, seeing Jackass the movie. And yeah, I mean, then from there, it's like it's a whole franchise. Like every couple of years, they were putting out new ones. It's like 2002 was the first one, 2006 was the second one, 2010 was the third one. And then, 2022 they waited a little while to make the fourth one, and then they put out these like point fives where they like do all this like behind the scenes stuff and additional footage to kind of like keep people plugged in with it. And I think Johnny Knoxville is really the only one who was like doing other stuff that anybody noticed. Like I think Bam Margera was like trying to make his own stuff, and like there was a lot of like spin-off things from this. Like there was shows like Wild Boys and things like that where there's like taking some of the people like Steve-O and Bam and giving them their own show to do
Yeah,
like their own weird stuff.
I think that I remember like Bam Majera had his own show where he was just pranking his parents all the time. Like I know like him pranking his parents becomes like a norm in the Jackass movies, but like
Yeah, it's
I
kind
think
of
there
a
was I think there was like a show almost dedicated to that.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. It's definitely a through line throughout at least the three films that Bam Margera is part of him pranking his mom and his stepdad Phil. And yeah, it's I mean, honestly, some of the stuff that they do to prank them is some of the funnier things, I think. And the fact that they didn't kill him for doing some of these things, like he does some messed up stuff to them
Yeah.
throughout these films. But yeah, it's really interesting that it's had this longevity. It's had these like spin-offs, like in them Johnny Knoxville does this character where he plays like a gross grandpa kind of guy, and that's even been its own, Jackass Presents Bad Grandpa. And so it's like, man, I
Yeah,
guess when I was watching this stuff, I never thought it'd be 2026 and I'd still be like talking about Jackass at this point.
Right, and like Johnny Knoxville has definitely become like the face of it all, right? Like, and so
Right.
maybe that's like why this could be like the last Jackass, is maybe if he decides ultimately that he's done, and like maybe the thought is without him as like the ringleader that like everything would fall apart. Not that people can't get to go to do stupid things, right? But
Right.
it's like this is like I'm Johnny Knoxville, and this is Jackass, and like like it's almost like synonymous with him, and like
Exactly.
and I mean, he's gone on. I mean, like I guess he's been a host like on like a Fear Factor or something, which like makes perfect sense for him. But
Mhm. Yeah, he's done other acting, other gigs, like he's on, podcasts and things like that. I think he's has more versatility
right,
out there in the world than just being known for doing like gross, stupid shit on camera, like some of the other guys have done. And like, in the group, certain guys have like their own kind of shtick that they do, where it's like, Chris Pontius is the guy or Pontius is always like taking off his clothes and wearing like,
yeah,
speedos and
thongs.
G strings and doing stuff with his. It's like I feel like there's a broad spectrum of them doing stuff with their dicks and their butts throughout, but I feel like Chris Pontius is like definitely the one that's like probably doing the most stuff with his dick and his butt than anybody else. Like I think the fourth Jackass, like the intro is like him using his penis and balls as like a Godzilla creature that's terrorizing the city.
Yeah,
But yeah, I guess why don't we go through some of the movies and talk about, the stuff that's memorable, the stuff
yeah.
that grossed us out.
So the first movie opens with like this like really fun sequence where they're all like in a shopping cart getting like shot
Yes.
at with cannonballs, and like
Hmm.
that's such a memorable way to open the
Yeah.
entire franchise.
Yeah, it's kind of hard not to think about Jackass without thinking of a shopping cart and guys doing dumb stuff in shopping carts. I feel like that also is kind of synonymous with the Jackass brand, is like the shopping cart thing.
Right. So I kind of love that, and I think like even for this upcoming fifth movie that like they have it like on the poster or something like that bring back the shopping cart memories. So that was great. One of my all time favorite sequences, if you will, across all the Jackass movies is this sequence where they have like turning Japanese playing in the background, and
Hmm.
specifically like I guess like Jackass one, they spend a lot of time in Japan,
Yes.
and it's just like fun watching them like run around in panda outfits, like doing like chaos. And it's not like to the level of some of the stuff they do, which we
Hmm.
go into like how gross. Like maybe we'll go into like some of the grossest ones of each film, but like it's not like they're going into like a department store and shitting in public like
Yeah,
display
shitting in it.
toilets.
Yeah, yeah, going into a hardware store and shitting in the toilet there, like Dave England does. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Like, for me, I often like the pranks that are like the more harmless ones that they do, like the one you're describing where they're just dressed up as pandas and they're going like hitting each other and creating chaos, and just innocent bystanders are just like looking on thinking like, what the fuck am I even watching right now? What is going on? That's, I think, really where Jackass thrives for me, is those moments of like chaos and unpredictability and like normal people going about their lives and just the like what the fuck of it all. Like, what is going on? What am I witnessing? Those are some of my favorite things that they do, and I like severely dislike the stuff that's like the piss and the shit and like the like body mutilation stuff that I'm just like, no, 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 I don't need that.
Right. So like it's funny. So there's good. I saw like a review on Letterboxd by someone, and they're like simultaneously these movies are like movies about guys being guys, and also some of like the most grotesque body horror movies you could ever see.
Yeah, because they like literally abuse their own bodies just for like the yucks, and like they're constantly hitting each other in the balls like for fun, and they're just doing horrific things themselves. You're just like, why did you do that? What, I mean, I get it, you're trying to be edgy, you're trying to, whatever, but damn, man, that's messed up.
Yeah. So it was funny when I was watching this, the first one, anyways. It's been a little while, and of course, like there's a lot of like guerrilla filmmaking in the first one where like you can
Yeah.
tell like they had like really shitty cameras
Yeah,
and
it's like
like
really grainy in a way that it's so different from watching even because I watched the first one, rewatched the first one, and then watched the fourth one because I was like, if I get to nothing else, I should see the most recent one because I haven't seen that, but I've seen the other three in between, and it was like shocking how grainy and crappy it looked the first one.
yeah, it was very much like if you guys are gonna do this, we're gonna give you like no money to do it
Hmm.
and see what happens. And obviously, it made it a good chunk of change from their return. And but yeah, I think like, and I was telling Evan before, like if you watch the most recent one compared to like these earlier ones, it feels like maybe they had the idea to like prank innocent people more or like get a
Hmm.
rise out of people, whereas like
Right.
later they were just like, oh, let's see how much we can just like do stuff to each other.
Yeah, torture each other or torture like guests that we rope into these like skits.
Yeah, because like I guess like one of the very first things you see in the first Jackass movie is them like going to a rental car place and they rent a car and then they bring it to a destruction derby
Yep.
and they're like, oh, let's return the car.
Right.
Um, and like he's like, well, I'm not paying for the damage to this, and the guy's like, yeah, you are.
Yeah. That's the kind of stuff that's like really just like totally bonkers. Like we were talking a little bit off mic via text about like the golf cart
Mm-hmm.
section where they're just like driving warring golf carts. Like that one I feel like is memorable. One of my favorites from the first one is they keep setting off the fireworks on Bam Margera's dad. Like they wake him up with like fireworks in his bedroom and fireworks in his truck, which is like super dangerous. But
Yeah,
like that to me that like cracks me up. Or like the department store boxing like Johnny Knoxville is boxing a professional boxer in the middle of a store and just gets like creamed.
yeah. What was happening in the first one when he's fighting Butterbean? I think it's just
Yeah, and
like
he just his head gets split open because he gets like punched into like a clothing rack or something in the middle of the store, and everyone because they like bring a bell and a referee and everything. Everyone in the store is watching in horror.
yep. But like, yeah, those are some of the fun ones, and I also like the ones where they do like when they try to do like stunts or like try to like mix science into it and like see if they could
Hmm.
do it based on like science things. I don't know so much about like let's shoot each other with like pellet guns and see what happens.
Right, yeah. When they're testing the non-lethal weapons in the first
Yeah,
one, where they're getting hit by all the different like ugh, that part's hard. I know you and I both talked about the paper cuts thing where they're getting the paper cuts like on their
yeah,
tongues and between the webbing of their hands.
yeah.
That was just disgusting and horrifying.
I wouldn't watch that. I wouldn't watch them snorting wasabi because I'm like I've had wasabi plenty of times. I enjoy wasabi, but like just eating it naturally and your head like you can feel like the burning and like through your nostrils. I'm like I can't imagine.
Yeah. That one's pretty gnarly. The piss snow cone where well, I think
Yeah,
it was Dave England eats his own piss in a snow cone. Like that stuff to me, I'm just like I could do without. Or Ryan Dunn sticking a toy car up his butt and then going to like get it
need an
X-rayed at like
X-ray.
a doctor. I did not even remember that was like part of the movie. I bring me like do tropical pole vault with Steve-O like that. Do ones like that. That's my preferred Jackass mode.
So yeah, I think like I still like the first one quite a bit, even though like it has like three or four kind of gross out scenes that like I could do without. But like I feel like they were just so I don't know free or like trying to just see what
Mm-hmm.
sticks, and like there was like very little like engineering going on to it.
Yeah, there's not a lot of polish to it. It still feels very like guerrilla, very edgy, very like we don't know what the fuck we're doing. We're trying a little bit of everything. You know, we're doing a little bit of like the old people makeup. We're doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, trying to find their footing, like you said. We're throwing in like Tony Hawk and Matt Hoffman into things because apparently Tony Hawk was big in the CKY stuff, which I didn't realize. And it was like I always knew he kind of like him and Matt Hoffman would pop up in these, but I didn't
Yeah,
realize that like his involvement in some of these prank videos went all the way back.
yeah, it's fun. It's fun to see people like that show up in these movies. And you're like, what? What are they doing here?
Yep. No, Tony Hawk is just loves pranks and silliness, I guess. But yeah, so I feel like, this was a hit. And so they're like, all right, let's make another one. Jackass. It's literally called Jackass number two. Ha.
Yeah. I didn't think like anything in this one would be as gross as some of the things in the first one, and then Fishhook comes on, and I was just like, I cannot watch this.
Yeah, I can't watch Steve O stick a fish hook through his mouth on camera. You know what else I can't take? Dave England literally eating cow shit. That to me was quite bad.
That wasn't terrible, but like I thought it was worse when they were talking about like masturbating a horse and then like drinking the horse's
The
like
horse cum,
yeah,
yeah.
and saying like, "Oh, that's such a big load," and everything. And then, like, I'm like, "Please, God, no! You don't have to do
Yeah.
this."
Yeah, I know. Two things I'm immediately thinking of. One, I forgot to mention with the Steve-O wasabi thing. It's interesting to me how many gross things the Steve-O does throughout these films that he immediately starts vomiting from. He does them and immediately starts vomiting, the wasabi thing included. But also, while we're talking about the horse cum, there's a fun callback to that. The fourth one where Chris Pontius drinks pig cum and says, "I like the pig cum better than the horse cum," and that to me was actually like an LOL, even though it
Yeah,
was fucking disgusting as
yeah. Mentioning Steve will throw up. I guess there's like a quick one near the end of two where he's like wearing this like almost like a underwater scuba mask, and the guy farts into like a pipe right into the mask, and then I'm like,
and he
that is
immediately starts vomiting.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. When Preston Lacey, yeah, he actually shit into the pipe.
yeah,
They show later that he took a shit. Oh my god. But yeah, that one's pretty gnarly. Also, this kind of sets off I would say the Johnny Knoxville slash Jackass obsession with the bulls and doing things
yes,
dangerous involving bulls. Like the opening of this film, I think is probably my favorite of the openers, where they're literally running from bulls and like they're getting like crashing into like jumping out of the way, running through houses, getting like trampled by the bulls. Like that's insane. And there's like a bunch of bull related stunts in this and in future films. Usually Johnny Knoxville being the one to bear the brunt of getting hit by the bull.
yeah, which is crazy because like they said like in the fourth one he got like really like totaled by a ball.
Yeah, he got. I think I wrote in my notes Johnny Knoxville got fucked up by that bull.
Yeah, because like in the second one here, there's like a teeter totter like bull sequence where
Hmm.
like they'll like quickly jump up and like you don't want to be on the bottom and knocked off by the ball.
Right. But
I'm
everyone
like,
else has the good sense to jump off, and he's the last person standing on that teeter totter.
right, yeah, some of them are like, get me the f out of here, you know?
Yeah. Two, and this is another like sub genre of their pranks that make me laugh, even though they're just totally wrong. This one has the one where there's the limo that they fill with bees, and all the guys are locked inside, and then as soon as they let them out, they fall on the marbles. It's horrible, but there are some pranks that they do that are like really fucking mean that make me laugh because it's not just the prank itself, it's that they have like layers to the prank where it's like they
Yeah,
do something horrible and then like they think they've escaped, but now they're like falling into two or three other horrible situations
yeah.
that they were
There's
like not
one.
anticipating.
There's one in four. That's probably my favorite all time.
Yeah, I
Like,
think I know the one you're
yeah,
talking about. But yeah, there's yeah, and there's like a meta-ness at points to it. Like I wrote this quote I think from the second one where Bam Margera says, "I'm a fucking skateboarder and I'm getting shot." It's like yeah, like you like really, and like I think there's a part at the end where he's like, "God, I hope there's not a Jackass 3,"
yeah,
because it's
yeah.
like they really are really putting their bodies on the line and really hurting themselves. And I know it's like a lot of this is especially like in two and three like are their own ideas. Like Bam Margera talks about it, the fact that he like draws ideas and like faxes them to people and they show like an example of one of those ideas.
The,
But still,
You know what I really liked in two, which is a goofy one, Evan, is like they're like in a hotel lobby and there's like this card on the wall and they
mm-hmm,
make increasingly smaller fonts so you have to get closer to read it. And then
yeah,
like Knoxville is like behind the wall with like a giant boxing glove and he just like the glove comes out and hits them in the face. I'm just like, that's fantastic.
yeah, that's the humor that I'm here for. And there's a prank in 3 that reminds me of that. That is, it's very funny. I like that stuff. I like the Gauntlet, the one where they have all these swinging weights and everyone's trying to like skateboard and do bike tricks through without getting hit by these giant
Yeah,
like swinging weights. And I love at the end, I don't remember who it is blindfolded and somehow makes their way without getting hit by any of the weights, and everyone's cheering. And I also love that aspect of these films. Like they're doing these like bonkers stunts, but like when they nail something or when they do something like really incredible, they capture on film, everyone is like so excited and is like
yeah,
cheering and is like, yeah, we did it.
yeah.
There's something really satisfying about that.
Two has like one scene like that that I really liked, where it was like almost like them trying to do like a mini loop, and it's like they're on this like
Yes.
little bike, and they're like going around, and they keep on trying it and failing, and they're like, but they eventually figure it out and get through it. And I'm like, yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. That's one of my favorites too. I very much enjoyed that. I did not enjoy I liked the idea for the prank of having Danger Aaron pretend to be a terrorist and then like
Yeah, that went
have
on way too long.
yeah, Jay Czekasander from Super Troopers is the cab driver, and they like have him pull a gun on Danger Aaron and make him think like this guy's actually a guy with a gun who's gonna like take him out. But I'm like, it's fucking disgusting that they like shaved all their pubes and like made him like wear the pubes as like a beard for his like
Yeah, and one of the
terrorist
guys
outfit.
had crabs, and he's just
Yeah, I'm
like,
just like, that's just disgusting, like horribly, horribly disgusting. Like you didn't need to go there. You really didn't need to do that.
and one of the guys is like, oh yeah, I haven't showered in a week just for you, and like, ugh.
Yeah,
But then
that's
two,
the kind of gnarly stuff. Like, ugh.
then two ends with like a musical note, which was kind of funny.
Yeah. I think one thing that was surprising about going back and rewatching these. So I remember that Rip Taylor is in 1, 2, and 3 at the end where he's like, doing whatever, just like rambling. I feel like the endings, I thought I remember them being more climactic. Like I thought I remember them being more like epic. And I feel like most of these I was kind of like, I feel like they went out with like a whimper instead of a bang.
Yeah. Well, you know what's another thing that made me like realize like what these movies were going for, and maybe like they did this on purpose. There's one skit in Jackass 2 where they have director John Waters come in, and he's
Mm-hmm.
he's he's just playing a magician, and he's like, "I'm gonna make Wee Man disappear," and this giant lady jumps on him and makes him disappear. But like, having a director like Waters come in and like he's like almost like the king of trash films,
Right.
and I obviously is very much like a wink wink to the camera.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, these guys, they knew what they were doing. Like they weren't just doing dumb stuff. They understood kind of like the I hate to use the word artistry, but that's the best word I can think of right now. The artistry of what they were doing.
Right. I mean, a lot of this stuff goes back to like silent film. If you go back to like Chaplin and Lloyd and other silent comedians of the 20s and
Hmm.
30s, and like those guys put their bodies through hell for entertainment. So
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, even at the end of 2, there's homage to Buster Keaton, like right when the house falls down around Johnny
hmm
Knoxville.
you're right.
So yeah, it's not just guys doing dumb stuff, as we keep saying. Should we move on to Jackass 3?
Yeah. So this one is probably the one I've only seen this one once, and you said you had the most fun memories of this because you actually saw it in the theater in 3D.
I did, yeah, yeah, and I was like, Jackass 3D, I gotta go see this. You know what I mean? Like it's a
Yeah.
gimmick, but like a crazy gimmick. And yeah, I mean, obviously watching it at home, rewatching it at home, I didn't get the 3D effect of it, but when I saw it in theaters, yeah, it was hilarious because they're like playing up the stuff that looks really hilarious in 3D, like dildos flying, in slow motion and all these like slow motion things of people getting like punched in the face. Like they have what they call Rocky, where it's like Bam Margera runs over and throws water in someone's face and then just like hits them with like a right hook with a boxing glove, and you like see their face getting like smushed in slow mo. All this stuff I thought was very funny in 3D, as was the whole intro with Beavis and Butthead talking about the 3D and Beavis punching Butthead in the face.
Now I know you're like mostly like turned off from like the really like, or at least since this conversation, the really like graphic like, I don't know, body stuff. Like, what did you think
Hmm.
about? If I remember the end of three correctly, like, isn't this like they're in the porta potty and it, like kind of like they kind of like shake it up or something like that?
Yeah, there's a few really gnarly ones in this. And I was saying I can't remember if I said this on mic or off, so listeners forgive me, but I think when I watch these, I keep thinking to myself, it's not that bad. There's not as much gross stuff as I remember. And then like I just get hit with like a tidal wave of just disgusting stuff. Like, oh no, it actually is as bad as I remember. Like this one that they had one called Poo Cocktail Supreme where Steve O was in a porta potty that they like launch into the air and just shit is everywhere and everyone's like vomiting because there's just like shit spraying all over the place. It's like stuff like that. Like, oh, I can't, I don't need to see a pig eating an apple from Preston Lacey's ass and other various just horrifying, gross things. But yeah, three had some, or yeah, Dave England's his shitting volcano that he was doing, where like his butt was like an erupting volcano.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think anybody likes those ones, but like, I think there was like one in Jackass too, where like you're just seeing like this bathroom scene, and like all of a sudden there's like poo coming out of nowhere, and I'm like, I don't need to see that.
Right. Yeah. I did think it was funny in the first Jackass when Dave England was supposed to go shit in the toilet at the hardware store and accidentally shit himself before he was supposed to do it. And they were like in the car and he's like, "Oh no, I accidentally shit myself." That's funny to me.
Yeah,
That cracked me up. But yeah, 3 has some ones that I really thought were so funny. Like the one where they had the giant hand, they were calling it the high five, where guys would be like walking in and just get hit with this giant hand and go like flying, and they had Danger Aaron carrying a tray full of soup. They somehow convinced him to carry a bunch of soup, and he just slapped with the hand and goes flying, and the tray breaks and the soup goes everywhere. That stuff to me is fucking funny as hell. Or they did one with Bam where they antiqued him. That was a horrible thing that they taught people because at some point I got pranked with that. Somebody antiqued me and I could not get, what was it, baby powder flour off. There was like a layer of it all over my stuff. And it was so fucking obnoxious.
yeah. I don't know. Like, I've only seen three once, so I'd have to watch this one again. I don't know. But what do you think about three? Do you still think it's one of the better ones, or do you think that's just nostalgia, or how do you rank these? Is I think like it'd be difficult to rank them unless you individually took the sequences out of order and like you were
Mm-hmm.
to assign a number to them, and then you were able to like
Right.
take the average of the best skits of each one.
Yeah, that would be that sounds very scientific for something that feels very unscientific at times. But yeah, I don't know. I think I recognize that three has some nostalgia factor. So I think probably for me it might be like 2, 1, 4, maybe if I were to like rank them. But it's tough because like there's just a lot there to consider from all of these different things. And 4 is like kind of weird onto itself and we'll talk more about it in a minute. But like they also introduce a bunch of new people. They like add a
Hmm.
bunch of new people, like the Jackass the Next Generation. um but yeah, like I don't know. 3, there's still some like the what they call it, Electric Avenue. That one to me is one of my all-time favorite Jackass skits, where they're like convicts trying to escape through a hallway with like swinging cattle prods and tasers. That to me is one of the funniest things. I can't stop laughing because it's so insane and so horrible that they're just like trying to dodge cattle prods and tasers and just getting electrocuted the entire time. Or like they had a scene where it was like Wee Man was at a bar with this woman and her boyfriend comes in and starts yelling at them, and there's just like all of a sudden there's this gigantic fight of little people and they're all like beating the shit out of each other at this bar full of unsuspecting patrons. And then there are like little people dressed as cops that come in to break up the violence, and everyone is just totally befuddled by the entire thing.
Now, I guess like what was I thinking about? So I guess before we get into four, like we'll talk about a little bit more of everything that goes down. But is there like a Jackass actor who you're like when you see like a scene around them, you know you're what you're getting into, and you're like, shit, and then I gotta see this guy do this thing again.
Yeah, so I feel like we talked about Chris Pontius as being like the guy. It's like, all right, does like Dick and Balls are probably going to be somehow factored into this. I feel like similarly, like Steve-O, you're like, okay, it's going to be something probably gnarly that's going to happen. And then basically, anytime Preston Lacey is there, I'm like, okay, there's going to be something really gross here too. I think I'll have their moments. I feel bad for how much they prank on Danger Aaron. I feel like he's kind of the whipping boy of the group, where like they make him do some of the most painful stunts and like embarrassing things. Like we talked about the pube beard. He
Yeah.
also had his tooth yanked out by the Lamborghini. And I don't think he ever replaced the tooth. I think he's just like got a missing tooth in his mouth for like the other stuff. Yeah.
So, but like,
What about you?
yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess like as you said, it was funny. Like, so, I guess like Wee Man, some scenes I like of him, some scenes I don't. But there was one and two which I kind of liked, where he was like, they kind of pranked him where he was supposed to like get cards thrown at him, and he
Mm-hmm.
thought like he was getting hit by the cards and they were really sharp, but it was actually like electrified the stool that he was on, and like that was kind of funny. It was just like it was all tongue in cheek.
Yeah, that was a funny skit.
But yeah, I guess as we head into the fourth film was gonna like not have Ryan Dunn due to him passing away, and again, like we said at the beginning, Bam Margera was not brought back. He was
He did shoot some content, I guess, for the fourth one, but then he couldn't maintain the sobriety, and they booted him. And then I guess he had some like legal battles with them over like being compensated for the work.
yeah, he I guess like I'm looking up this like fandom wiki of it, and like at some point like he expressed disdain for like Jeff Tremaine, Johnny Knoxville, and Spike Jones before asking his fans to boycott the film. And I guess like in May of 21, Tremaine filed a temporary restraining order against Bam.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess like he was granted an additional 3-year restraining order extended to Tremaine's wife and children after Bam set the family death threats.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think it's a great loss for the franchise because I don't like Bam Margera. I think he does some of the meanest stuff to other people. Like in the third one, he's literally just filming himself pissing on other people. Like he's literally just peeing on other people and like filming it from the perspective of his dick. And I was like, this is just trash behavior from somebody. And he's like the textbook definition of can dish it out but can't take it, because like in 2 and 3 he is deathly afraid of snakes, and literally they prank him with like snakes and he's crying, like I
Yeah.
mean actually crying real fucking tears, and is like, you do so much messed up stuff to other people, and I feel like the fact that you can't take it
Well, not only
is
that, but like
indicative of like who you are as a person, and that's trash in my
but
opinion.
like I think like everybody around him like kind of enabled him, and like this whole idea of
Mm-hmm.
him pranking his parents and like that being like, hey, cool, you know, you're making a lot of money, we'll put up with it. And like he just got like this air of entitlement around him
Yeah.
that wasn't really surprising that like he kind of went the way he did. I've heard that they included archival footage of Bam in the fifth movie, so that way,
Yeah.
you know, people who are like, "Oh, why isn't Bam in it?" can say like, "Oh, now they can see him in it." And
Yeah, I mean, like, there's some, yeah, like, there's like references to other stuff in the credits. I feel like they kind of do like a bit of like nostalgia throwback stuff at the end, like classic clips. Obviously, like a small tribute to Ryan Dunn, and the fourth one does some like revisits to some of their like earlier stuff, where they're like upgrades to some of the the stuff. So I feel like probably a good point to mention. Yeah, Jackass Forever came out in 2022.
right after the pandemic, really, because like that's
Right. There's still a lot of them is them like wearing masks and other people wearing like PPE and stuff like that. which is kind of an interesting time capsule
Yeah.
piece. But like, you know, they also have like crazy explosions in the beginning. There's this whole like Godzilla thing. We're also meeting all these new people. We got, you know, Jasper, Rachel Wolfson, a guy who just goes by Poopies, Zach Holmes, Eric Managa, which I think they add value to a certain degree. Like they all kind of like do their own like crazy things. Like I thought one of the guys, his dad, shows up for like a tarantula thing that was pretty silly. It was like, okay, that was kind of fun. But
So yeah,
yeah,
I was alluding to one of my favorite sequences, and Evan like kind of says like he likes these sequences that like start off with something and then like lead into something else, and
right.
this textbook for that because like I guess they have this idea where they're gonna like have these guys sit in a room and like this other guy's gonna like show them like a snake, like
Yeah,
really
rattlesnake.
really like poisonous snake, and when they have they like set it up so like they're stuck in that room and the lights go off and like
Yes.
like to pretend like the snake is like in there and like they're like I guess Knoxville and like some other guys are around them with like tasers and just like poking
Yeah,
them with
like
tasers.
night vision goggles, and they're like going around the dark just like poking them, or even just like touching them in a way that makes them feel like the snake's there. And they've got like the sound effect of the snake, like they make a bucket tip over or something like that because they knew the snake was in like a bucket, and so everyone starts like freaking out.
And then they like shine a light into like this like little alley and they're like, oh, this is the way out. But of course, oh, when they get through that door, it's just like a sea of like mouse traps and
Yeah, there's
like
pots and pans. They immediately walk into a bunch of pots and pans, and then the other guy, yeah, you like you said, he's trying to climb over like a wall of mouse traps, and it's just getting. It's wrong. I shouldn't find this funny, but it's one of the funniest things to me. I was like dying laughing when I was watching this.
yeah, it's probably the best sequence in four. I think like I think it's hilarious.
Yeah. I think maybe for me, what it is like these guys are really kind of so fearless in so many ways. And like, even if they're scared shitless, they still do these like insane things that no sane person would do, but then they still have these very like rational fears like of rattlesnakes and bears, and like they end up in these situations and they're like you or me, you know what I mean? Like they're just as scared of what's going to happen in them. And so that kind of like brings it back to like they're still vulnerable people who have like very real fears despite the fact that they've done, you know, all kinds of twisted things.
Yeah, I'm trying to look here. Like I think the one that we were just talking about was called like Silence of the Lambs.
Mhm.
But they have another one which comes like right after it, I guess, which is just like another one of those like painful groin things where like one of the
Yep.
guys like had
Steve-O,
bees, yeah, all over
bees on his
painted and
dick.
nuts, and like
Yeah, no thanks. Unsubscribe from that one. Yeah. I was very happy of the synergy of the following sketch was called Musical Chair Bags, which featured Rob Dyrdek from Ridiculousness, which like I said is good descendant of Jackass
hmm.
and America's Funniest Home Videos. And he's there when they're playing musical chairs, and the chairs are loaded with airbags, and they don't know which one is gonna like explode when the person sits in it. That to me is fucking funny.
Yeah, and I think like there was one early. No, right at the Silence of the Lambs too. They have this body surfing right where they had one of the bigger guys. They were like trying to use him to go down like a giant slide,
Mm-hmm.
and just
Yep.
like seeing them wipe out in the dirt, you know that had to hurt.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And there's like they do a new cup test where they have these like insane situations of like trying to test the cup, like PK Subban like from the NHL is shooting slap shots at a cup, and there's like a softball player pitching fastballs that is guy doing pogo stick on it. Like again, just like classic Jackass callbacks, but insane and upgrades. Like I'm on board for that stuff. I'm on board for the stuff that just feels unconnected to anything in particular, like the marching band one where they're like doing a marching band and they go on a treadmill and they go like all go flying into each other, and Steve-O gets like knocked unconscious.
I'm looking at this like cracked website, and like they were like one they mentioned that Butterbean one pretty highly, Evan, but then they also mentioned this one where I remember watching it probably the other day where I guess Knoxville is like on a golf course, and like he's like blasting an air horn where the guys are like trying to like
Yeah,
really seriously play golf, and they get like so pissed off. They like
they
throw
got
their
big
like
mad. Yeah,
yeah, they throw their irons like in the woods at them, and like
yeah. Those are kind of the I would using air quotes, but the more harmless pranks that
yeah.
made me laugh throughout the series.
Were you
Like,
were you mentally and physically tired after watching four Jackass movies?
yeah, I definitely feel like I got put through the ringer in some ways, but also like it caused me to have this like weird fascination with everything that I was watching in a way that was kind of like, should I delve deeper into the like, should I go back and watch the show? Should I like soak in some of these other like spin-off shows? It's weird for me. It's not what I was expecting to come out of this, of watching all of these
Well,
movies kind of
good.
like back to back.
I'm glad you didn't regret your time watching it.
Well, most of it. Yeah, I don't regret most of it. But like you, I kind of watch stuff, either half paying attention, the stuff that I really didn't want to see, kind of looking between my hands, like,
Yeah, I think I didn't get to rewatch 3 and 4, and like I'd probably turn them on like after we're done with this, and like before going to see the fifth one in the movie theater. Which I wasn't a big proponent of seeing the earlier ones in the movie theater, but like having watched these, I think it would be just like a really fun time to be in a crowd of people watching these guys go through it. So
mm-hmm. Yeah. I think also there's kind of that element where it feels more dangerous seeing it in the theater.
yeah,
Just like you really don't know what's coming in some ways, and you kind of just have to sit there and experience it versus like if you could just like pause it or fast forward it or just like really look away at something else that you have like in your line of vision. It's like when you're in the theater, it's like you're not going to be on your phone if you're, a decent human being.
yeah.
You're not going to have like books or other things. You're not really, you can't look away. Where are you going to look? At the person sitting next to you. So yeah, I get what you're saying about wanting this. I don't know that I'll see it in the theater, but I get why. I get the
Yeah.
impulse. All right. Well, any parting thoughts on the Jackass movies?
Yeah, like I said, like I don't know if I can necessarily like at first I thought far and away like I'd be able to pinpoint which one I like the most, but given like the scenes in each one, I don't know if it's possible to say like if I like one more than the other, because
Mm-hmm.
certainly some of them have higher highs and lower lows. So
Yeah, I mean, like any vignette based
right,
medium, you're gonna have ones that are really funny and other ones that don't really work, and plenty of things in between. That's like, it's a mixed bag. But on balance, I get why the franchise has had such longevity and why people continue to see these. And I mean, I guess I'll be a tiny bit sad if this is truly the last one they do. But I feel like at a certain point you got to hang it up because, like, how long can you? I mean, it was also making me think a lot. If there's a Tony Hawk documentary that came out a couple of years ago called Tony Hawk Till the Wheels Fall Off, and it's really the same thing with like the professional skateboard guys. Like they're all in their like 50s pushing 60, and they're still doing it, and their bodies are falling apart, but they don't know any other way to live, and so they're literally just going to skate till they can't anymore. And I kind of get if it's the same thing with the Jackass guys. Like maybe this is all they know and all they can do until they just can't do it anymore.
well, certainly someone like Steve-O, right? Like this is it for him. Like he's not gonna go out and have a career. Like maybe Knoxville could be like he has the charisma to be like in front of the camera doing other things, but
Mm-hmm. Yep. Alrighty. Well then, I guess before we move on to the what we've been watching segment, let's take a pause for the station identification. So you've been listening to the It's the Pictures podcast. You can follow us on social media. You can find us as It's the Picture, like It's the Pic Pod or It's the Pictures, depending on where you're looking. We are on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky. And you can also email us, it's pictures@gmail.com, if you want to talk to us about your favorite Jackass stunts, or I don't even know if you feel grossed out by the same things that we're grossed out by or different things. We'd love to hear from you. And let's see, what else? We've got a really fantastic newsletter that Max writes, and he covers all kinds of stuff, not just movies, video games, anime, TV, Blu-ray releases, all kinds of good stuff. Max, what's cooking in the newsletter lately?
yeah, I think like, I was on a frenzy when Disclosure Day came out. I had a whole bunch of stuff come out around that period with not only a Disclosure Day review, but talking about Taylor Swift's Toy Story 5 song, which, yes, has
Mm,
hit number one on the charts.
shocking.
So next step is, I guess, Oscar nomination. But I plan to do a review of Toy Story 5. Maybe by the time this is up, you'll have already had the opportunity to read it, and other stuff coming down the pipeline soon. We have another big Criterion sale coming up soon in July, 50% off Barnes and Noble. So I'll probably list out some of the movies that you should grab during that sale that have come out earlier
Hmm.
this year. And I don't know. Continue the good stuff, right?
Yeah. Hey, is there a way to become a Criterion like referral partner or something? I feel like that's something you should do for the show. Like use, it's the pick as a promo code or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, Criterion, if you're listening, I'm game. But yeah, Evan, if they want to follow us on social media, they can always follow me on Blue Sky. You can search for Max Colville, maxcolville.com there. You can follow me on Letterboxd, MH Colville there. Those are the two places on social media I'm most active these days. How about you, Evan?
Yeah, I can't say I'm the most active anywhere these days, but I do keep an updated letterbox, so you can definitely easily follow me there. And I do have like Threads and Blue Sky and Instagram. I'm trying to do better about bringing those back online and trying to post to them more often.
And
But
and,
yeah,
and,
my
and Spoiler
go
Piece
ahead.
Theater is still going weekly too, right?
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
mean, like in terms of like me personally, yeah, my handle is real recon. That's real as in film real. You can follow me on social media, and then yes, of course, you can follow me every week at Spoiler Piece Theater, the weekly film review show. Me and Dave Riedel, we talk about new releases, and yeah, we spoil the shit out of the movies. Well, let's move on to what we've been watching. Max, tell me all about Toy Story 5.
Yeah, so a little tidbit into my review that I'll be writing. Toy Story 5 takes place maybe 2-3 years after the story of 4, where Jesse and Buzz Lightyear are fully into Bonnie's life and the head of their toy collection. But Bonnie has been having trouble making friends. It seems like a lot of other girls her age have tablet devices. In this case, specifically for Toy Story, they're known as lily pads, and they have
Mm-hmm.
social media apps kind of built in, and a way for these kids to kind of communicate to each other. And it's so important that they have them. And very quickly, Jesse and friends become like old news, and it's not
Mm-hmm.
exactly the fault of their own, but also because Lilypad kind of makes them redundant and schemes against them.
Mm.
So it all leads to Jessie really taking lead in this one. She's definitely Joan Cusack, who does the voice of Jessie, is definitely front and center. This is her story. There's a lot of callbacks to Jessie's intro in Toy Story 2. If you
Mm.
remember that Jessie's song in Toy Story 2, they play like the instrumental version of that song at the beginning of 5, and I'm like, you can't play that song anymore. That's emotional damage.
Oh, the Toy Story thing to me is emotional damage.
I don't like Evan. Like I saw this like music video, like anime music video once, and like anime music videos is a whole thing where people like put like famous songs against like clips of anime shows. And the one in particular, they picked like a short film about this girl and her cat, and the anime short is like the cat's life with the girl, and but they put
Mm-hmm.
like that's Toy Story 2 song, like when she had me, and like you're like, wait, now you're talking about when the cat was alive? And I was like, this is trauma. And so they shouldn't be able to play that song anymore. But I think Toy Story 5 is a lot better than Toy Story 4.
Mm.
It seems like they had Andrew Stanton, who I think he did the Wall-E movie, he probably did Finding Nemo, maybe one other, and he wrote the story. And it didn't seem like a story by committee where like they had like 5 people writing it, where
Mm-hmm.
which is part of the problem of 4, because 4 had like the antique shop, it had the carnival, it was like it was too busy.
Yeah, agreed.
This one is very much just Jesse and Lily Pad, and has like a really centralized plot of what it wants to do.
That's good.
So much so that when they like have Woody come back into the movie, because for those who are unaware of Toy Story lore, Woody really said goodbye at the end of Toy Story 4, and that was like you could see like that being like the swan song of Toy Story, because like Woody said goodbye. But
Right.
like, no, Woody's just like a walkie-talkie away, and Woody comes back, and I'm just like, this movie goes in such a different direction, Evan. I wouldn't have missed it if Woody wasn't a part of it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they did his thing.
Right.
So I don't
Yeah,
know.
it feels cheap to like end that and then be like, ah, sure, let's just bring him back. Why the fuck not?
Right, and I saw like a very scary story, which doesn't surprise me. But like Tom Hanks was recently interviewed. He's like, for each one of these Toy Stories, they have to like make it so that it's worth coming back to do the voice for it, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like, they could go on and make a Toy Story 6 without me. They have all these like recorded dialogues of me, like all these words, and they could just like string it together with AI. He's like, they don't really need me anymore.
Mm.
And it's like, if they want to continue Toy Story forever with his voice, they could certainly pull it off.
That is chilling.
Yeah.
Sheesh. But is it worth watching? What is the new one any good?
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, yeah, it's certainly better than 4. Like I think the first 3 are pretty great. Like I'd argue that like it's one of the best trilogies ever.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah, if you're like matching trilogies up with trilogies, I think like Toy Story 1 through 3 is really really great, but 4 is just really poor.
Yeah, it's crap.
So to put it lightly. So 5 didn't have to do much to be better than 4, but
Makes sense.
I still think that 5 has a lot of fun stuff, and like Conan O'Brien is like one of the new toys in this one, and he's fun.
That does sound fun. I like Conan O'Brien quite a bit.
So yeah, that's my review of Toy Story 5, and I'll have more to say about it on the newsletter. If you've listened to this episode and want to read more, go ahead and go to the It's the Pictures newsletter at www.itsthepictures.com. Evan, you have been watching Cape Fear, but not the Apple TV one. Which one have you
I
been
know.
watching?
Shocking that I have been watching the Apple TV. Don't worry, I'll get to it. Yeah, I watched the original Cape Fear, the 1962 adaptation starring Gregory Peck and Robert Mitchum, and yeah, I wanted to see it because I'd seen the De Niro Scorsese version from 1990 or 91, I can't remember, and I thought that was really good. And so I was like, I feel like I got to go back and watch the original, maybe go and rewatch, the De Niro one, and then see the new show. And yeah, I really enjoyed the 1962 version, although it makes some very odd choices. Like procedurally it does some weird stuff, like legally some stuff that doesn't make a lot of sense, and there's some very questionable like editing and transitions in it. But Robert Mitchum and Gregory Peck is an excellent matchup between the two. And then, so for those who aren't familiar, it's a story about a lawyer who is stalked by this guy who he helped put in jail, not through the law or a case that he worked on, but he was a witness against the guy. So that lawyer is Gregory Peck, and the ex-con is Robert Mitchum. And yeah, Robert Mitchum just like shows up and starts stalking Gregory Peck and his family and keeps doing like threatening stuff, but in a way that's kind of like there's no like hard proof that he's doing what he's doing, like other than just like being a nuisance. And there's a build up obviously until he like actually goes after Gregory Peck's wife and daughter, and by that point Gregory Peck is like ready to like take him on. And try and take him out. And yeah, I mean they're great performances from the two of them. They're really solid matchup. Robert Mitchum is very menacing, and I'd seen another film of his called Night of the Hunter, where he plays a villain who's
Mm-hmm.
also very scary and very menacing, and he becomes so very much in this, but it really like the last act, he becomes truly terrifying when he's going after this guy's like wife and daughter. And he's just this real like scary, creepy, like live wire energy where you're just like, ugh, it makes my like skin crawl. And some of the parts of the film I don't want to say it's like graphic violence, but it feels kind of graphic for the era. Some of the
Yeah.
stuff that's happening in a way that's like, okay, I could see why you could mine this for a remake, and why this could live on in other iterations, because I think there's definitely room seeing it to interpret it differently and more dangerously and scarier, which I feel like the 1991 version definitely is. In that one, I feel like De Niro is very scary, much scarier to me than Robert Mitchum.
Now, if I've never seen any of them, you would probably say the Scorsese one would be the one to watch, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think for sure you should see that one. I think this one is definitely worth watching. It's not like bad by any means, but like I said, there's some weird choices, like especially like editing and transitions where you're like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Like, why would they do that? But otherwise, like strong idea and strong execution, like some really great black and white cinematography in the 1962 version. And yeah, Gregory Peck and Robert Mitchum, two actors I very much like.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like, I had no like background of Cape Fear outside of like it's an IP that I know of. So
Mm-hmm.
like when the TV show is coming out or is coming out, I was like, oh, I don't have anything to compare it to.
Mm-hmm.
And I know like some people already have like fast quips on it and like say like, you know what, this TV series would make a really great movie because like you can watch you can watch like an 8 to 10 hour TV show and be like, oh, like, or you could watch a 2 hour movie to adapt the whole thing. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the TV show, but definitely want to go back and watch the Scorsese version before I do so I can be a Cape Fear completist. But yeah, would definitely recommend watching it. But if you had to pick between the two, like I said, Scorsese all the way.
okay,
All right, well, I think that wraps things up here for this episode of It's the Pictures. I hope you enjoyed our conversation about the Jackass franchise. I know I definitely did. I think it went some places I wasn't expecting. Intellectually, I mean.
well, yeah,
So yeah, we'll catch you on the next episode.
all right, take care, everyone.